Welcome back, pod people, to a brand new episode of Cinema d'Amore. I'm your host, Justin Morgan, and I'm here with Chuck Phillips, and we are going to be discussing Zach Cregger's Weapons. That's what we're going to be discussing today. There is a slight connection, because I was still doing the connection. Did you see the connection, Charles?
I mean, just that it's like, it's terror in the suburbs.
No, it shares a very specific actor. There's an actor in Friendship that is also an actor in Weapons. That looks exactly the same. Although the screen time is not great for either, but he does. It's a him. He looks exactly the same.
And the only like male actor that I can think is it's either gotta be one of the dad or Benedict Wong's boyfriend.
Yeah, it's Alex Lilly's dad.
Okay. I was like, it had to be someone that I like barely see like all that much, and I'm like, is he one of what's his name's friend, Paul Rudd's friends?
Actually, he is. Yeah, he's his coworker. He's the one guy that's like calls him an idiot for having that much coffee. And then ends up being invited to his garage when he tries to recreate the garage thing.
I would not even have recognized that those were the same actor. I didn't pay attention enough to him.
I actually did, but I think it was because having just seen Weapons and then watched Friendship again, I was like, that guy, he is so fucking familiar. And then I figured it out. But he only has, I feel like when I watched Weapons, he was familiar to me, and I couldn't quite place who it was, but then we just watched Friendship, and I'm like, okay, that's it. I got it. I got him. I figured him out. And going back into our last episode, Friendship, Andrew DeYoung, I saw he did direct the last episode of Friendship as of this recording. Chair Company. Jesus Christ.
I did notice it too, because it was just because his name was so fresh in my mind when the credits roll and I saw his name. I was like, okay, there was an episode that he directed specifically.
I want to say it's episode 6.
Yeah. It had the heavy metal. He brought the heavy metal like in Friendship that he starts getting into when he starts listening to Slipknot. I'm into punk rock.
I like this side of you, Dad. But yeah, the real reason I wanted to do Weapons is because it was one of the more fun movies that I saw in theaters this year. And, you know, again, I went in not really expecting anything from it besides knowing what this director did with, it's the same director of Barbarian. And, you know, I figured it'd be closer to that than he also was a member of The Whitest Kids You Know. So
I mean, both movies feature a lot of comedy. Like, he does throw a lot of comedy in with the horror.
Yeah, there is a good bit. And I feel like that is something that you have to do. Unless you're really, really good at sticking to the dramatic side of things. Sometimes I think people don't know how to take it away from the horror so that you can get scared again. I mean, I guess I'll also say I'm not the type of person that really gets scared when I watch a movie unless there's a jump scare. Those will always get me. I mean, it's a cheap shot, but it'll get me. I can't think of anything that really terrifies me. Like, I had just recently watched Keeper, and I thought that was a prime example of, because I have people at work like, is it scary? And I'm like, I mean, there's creatures at the end that are a little disturbing, but I mean, I kind of thought they looked cool. So I'm not really like in the mindset of this is such a terrifying thing to look at. So I think I looked at this movie more like it was, I mean, it starts like there's a mystery. So it starts kind of like a
thriller
story.
More like it feels a lot of it feels like a thriller in the first half and then slowly turns more to horror.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of horror in the beginning.
I didn't expect it to be like how you said that you had like no expectations. All I saw was like a one trailer for it, and I knew the basic plot that it was all the kids go missing in a classroom one night. But I didn't expect it to be non-linear and very episodic. That threw me at first. I was like, oh, we're gonna go from like all these different people's specific points of view until they all converge and everything goes crazy in like the last 40 minutes.
Yeah, and I noticed this time around too. Yeah, it's split up into chapters or characters, and every character kind of gets less screen time. Like their stories are shorter because they don't have to. They don't really re-show much.
They kind of just show you like where the story, like it shows you the beginning of the interaction. Like when we pick up on the cop, we see him pull over the junkie, and then when we do the junkie story, we get up to the point where the cop first sees him, and then it just cuts to after everything you've already seen in his previous thing. So yeah, he did a good job of not really feeling like you're just repeating everything over, like you're just getting a little bit more information every time.
I would also say, like, the things that feel like they're repeating, you're always getting more of the
It's from a
story.
different angle. It's not the exact same shot over and over again.
Well, not even just the same exact shot. Like, the one that sticks with me is it starts with the teacher, Gandhi, which I thought was funny because it makes me think of vice principals.
Yeah.
And then Josh Brolin's character, Archer, and, like, he kind of starts by following the teacher around, and it more or less answers questions without having to, like, 100% show you everything. But the only shot that I really felt was, like, kinda getting close to the same thing was, like, when they're at the school. I don't know what you wanna call it, it's kinda like a town meeting at the school, and in the teacher story, which is the first story, you hear Josh Brolin, they never show him, and then,
Yeah. You
you
recognize
know
that
it's him.
voice.
I mean, I honestly think from watching the first story, I think it has every single character that it follows in that first story, even though some are featured a little less than others. But when it's Gandhi's
Other than
point
the
of view,
junkie.
no, he's there too.
Where's he at in the
He's
beginning?
he is when she goes in to get alcohol, he's the one asking for money.
Oh yeah, I was meaning like everyone's there at that first at like the
Oh, no,
town
no, 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 no,
meeting.
no. Yeah, yeah,
Okay, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah,
yeah,
the
it
premise of
sets up
this, like,
all the characters in that very first section.
yeah. Yeah, they're all there, even if they're just kind of like sprinkled in, I guess. But yeah, going into this movie, I really thought that we'll get into it, when that comes up. But I kind of thought that this movie was never going to answer where the hell that these kids go, and it does. I thought that it was going to have kind of like the Monsters Are Due on Maple Street thing, where like everybody kind of like turns against each other because these kids are missing without an explanation. So I thought that that was a nice little twist where like the director kind of shows you, doesn't need to show you everything, but enough to piece everything together. I'd say that he shows a lot. Like I don't think there's really much up to the imagination, and the little bit that there is, it sounds like maybe we're getting a prequel movie or show or something. So I don't know if anybody wants that, but it sounds like we're getting it.
Yeah, yeah, I don't know. It feels like it'll ruin the. It could be good, but I don't know. It feels like it'll ruin the mystery of that character. That's just kind of shows up and
Maybe it'll be funny. Maybe it'll be
yeah,
so funny you won't care.
go all comedy on it. It's even more comedic than this.
Yeah, I do think that it does kind of start, I guess, thriller-esque, but I do feel scared for this teacher who, like, I don't really think that. I mean, you don't know in the beginning, but I don't think that she has anything to do with the kids missing. And I feel like she's going to get hurt because of it. People think that she knows something, and I don't think that people are off. But, we do get parts in this movie where, like, you get the chief of police, and it's when he's talking to Josh Brolin. They're like, we've looked into her. Like, we have no doubt in our mind that she has nothing to do with this. And from that time of the movie, I mean, you could just presume that they're just a terrible police department. But I mean, yeah, even her, I guess it was an ex-boyfriend, ex-fling at the very least, the cop, Paul Morgan, who's Alden
Alden Ehrenreich.
Ehrenreich, Ehrenreich, yeah. like she says that one comment to him about like, are they looking into it? And he's like, or like, are you looking into it? And he's like, well, first of all, I'm not a detective, so it's not me
I'm
specifically
looking into
my job.
anything.
But yeah, everybody's doing everything that they can. Like he gets really fucking offended by it. And but yeah, I don't know. I think I was kind of like sucked in with every character that it decided to follow. Obviously, some are more funny than others. I definitely think that this movie kind of helps from like watching it a second time. Not that there's stuff that's hard to follow, but I don't know, necessarily foreshadowing, but there's stuff that's happening to the characters that's happens in dream sequences that might not be 100% dreams.
Or some type of magic or something.
There's something happening to them. Yeah. I just had a blast with this. And like you said, it was really fucking funny, especially when you get to the junkie character. What's that guy's name? He's Abram.
Austin Abrams, I think is
August
his name.
Abrams. Yeah, yeah. I think he did. I'm really fucking up here with my memory.
He's
I
like
think
the
he
only
starred.
he's like the only non-Marvel guy here. This movie's very Marvel heavy with between Brolin, Julia Garner, Benedict Wong.
He's done like the teen stuff. I can't remember what that one Netflix show was. I think he was on it where they were trying to figure out who drew all the penises on everybody's cars.
I know which one you're talking about. I can't think of the name of it.
What is it called? I don't know. I can't remember. But
Which
anyway.
it was interesting that because I don't think I didn't realize that this movie was one of the ones that got affected so much by the writer strike and the actor strikes because I was just like looking up stuff about the movie and I didn't realize originally it was supposed to be Pedro Pascal was supposed to be the Josh
Mhm.
Brolin character and Brian Tyree Henry was going to be the Benedict Wong character, which I'm like just more Marvel guys to throw in there.
I also feel that the cast was great in this, even if they weren't the first choices of this, because maybe Pedro was doing Eddington or something like that. But
That's what
I
it said.
really
It was
like
all
Josh Brolin in
scheduling
this.
between that. Well, Fantastic Four. He would have still been doing Last of Us. So I guess he just had a lot of stuff that came up that he couldn't do it. And I will say,
You know,
I
go ahead.
watched two to bring it back to with Pedro Pascal and Julia Garner.
Yeah,
I watched two movies with Julia Garner this week. I thought one was kind of bad and one was great.
Fantastic Four and Weapons. Oh, it could have also been Wolfman. Wolfman was pretty bad.
I did not watch that one.
I think everyone was like, Pedro Pascal, he's in so many movies this year. I'm like, so is Julia Garner. She's in probably 4 movies that I watched this year too. So and like at least 3 of them are theatrical, and one of them, like you said, they're in the movie together. Almost 2 movies they were in together. But I was gonna say Josh Brolin is, I don't know, like I never think of him as like one of my favorite actors.
I was about to say,
But
were you going to say, I never think of him as a good actor?
I wouldn't even say I don't think he's a bad actor. I just think that
He was in the Goonies. How
he's
can you say he's not one of your favorite actors? Everybody in that movie was perfect.
it wouldn't be even from the Goonies, but I feel like he does make a lot of great choices being with Villeneuve, and he just keeps popping up in.
No Country for Old Men.
I mean, maybe that's the first that I really, really enjoyed him in. But yeah, like, I'm thinking of Dune and shit like that. Like, he's picking great movies. And I don't know what attracted everybody to this. Like, did they see Barbarian and be like, this is the next up and coming
I mean,
horror person?
that was the other. I know that was like a big news story when they made this movie because I know Jordan Peele fired his agent because he didn't get he wanted to produce this movie really bad and
Mm.
they like failed in the bidding war because they didn't offer enough money or
Oh,
because
wow.
he got offered and he fired his agent, which I think they said is also Zach Cregger's agent as well. They're like, I feel like Jordan Peele's like, I thought we had an in there, man. You're his agent. Like you couldn't make this deal happen. He desperately wanted to make this movie. They said it was within. I think he said Zach Cregger said like I guess he sent the script to like all the studios and it was like within 20 minutes he was already getting phone calls that were like, they're like, okay, here's your money. Like make this movie. I mean, obviously People are big on
Hey,
him. He is the next. I don't want to say he's the next one, but I think people are looking towards guys like Jordan Peele. That it's like they both come from a sketch comedy background, both turned into horror directors, and have been fairly successful with like pretty low budget movies that turn a huge profit.
maybe he didn't want the Peele name on it because not that Jordan Peele's bad, but to feel more like they did it on their own. Because I don't know who the big producers are on this. I feel like I saw Josh Brolin as a producer, but
Brolin, the producer here.
and probably Cregger. I know that the director Cregger said that when he came up with this idea for the movie, he literally came up with the concept first, where like he thought that it would be interesting if like a bunch of children disappeared in the middle of the night, and he's like, and then I had to figure out what the hell happened to them. It's like I really didn't start with the end or knowing anything of what happened to them, so like that's what the movie became after I came up with that inciting incident. So I do love that. And you know what? I didn't even realize until like before this movie came out too that he had more of like that comedic background, because I never thought of him from Whitest Kids You Know. I always thought of Trevor Moore, and there is a funny little like nod towards Whitest Kids You Know, which is when Benedict Wong is with his boyfriend and they're making like lunch in the middle of the day, and he has the 7 hot
Tray of hot
dogs.
dogs.
It's from the skit of like when Trevor Moore's a doctor and they're like, is 7 hot dogs too much? It's like, once. There's also a really funny meme that I love from this too, where the person said they went to the movies to see this, and the kid next to them asked them if it was based on a true story. And they said no. And then the narrator in like the first 10 seconds is like, this is based off a true story. And he's like, that kid just stared at me like, he fucking lied to me.
Yeah. The other thing I will say, this movie probably should be nominated and should win, but at the very least be nominated for makeup effects, because the makeup effects they do in this movie are pretty ridiculous. Like, I don't whatever they do to Benedict Wong's face, like the way they make his eyes like bulge out of his skull when he's like cursed and is going on a murder spree. And I also like, the big character in the movie, the big villain, Gladys, which it feels like the makeup style's like an even more twisted version of like Heath Ledger's Joker, where it's just like the lipstick and makeup is just like smeared all over her face in like the most unnerving way that like it's like it's not a human at all. Like no human person would actually do their makeup that way.
Yeah, you know, I honestly don't. I would really stop what you're doing and come back to this episode if you haven't seen the movie. Not that anything is like dire for it not to be a surprise, but it's really fun to go into this movie completely blind. But going back into what Chuck you were saying, I really do like Aunt Gladys. Like I don't really. This is Amy Madigan, and her big role that I think of is Field of Dreams. But like, so this is such a wild. Like they make her look horrible, but they also do like a really good job of like kind of not like she stands out, but she's also very much a real person that I could see, like of an old person that's just has too much makeup on and it doesn't really like clashes a little bit. And I also like there's a really great moment where like when you are first introduced to her and she comes into Benedict Wong's office, which it's actually kind of interesting too because it's Justine Gandy, the teachers, who's like, Can you just please talk to Alex's parents? Can you please just talk to him? Like, there's weird shit going on at their house. It doesn't seem right." And
That's a
so,
great
like,
jump scare moment when she's at the house and like looking through the windows, and then the parents are just like sitting there staring at the wall.
Yeah, but she like inadvertently puts the principal Marcus by Benedict Wong's character like in jeopardy because he's like threatening that he's going to have to call child care services on her if like the parents don't show up. And her entrance is actually, you do see her for a hair in the first story, but she's not, she's kind of like out of the frame almost. You just kind of see a hint
You see
of
the
her.
red hair.
Yeah, you see the red hair, and that's about it. And yeah, when he starts threatening that,
I thought you
he's
were even
done.
going to talk though. Her introduction, like
Yeah,
coming in that
her
scene's
introduction.
great
Yeah,
because the secretary's like, "You're 2 o'clock's here," and then she just kind of like stands there and like, "Well, show her in," and the secretary's like, "Okay, this lady looks insane, but okay." And then even when she lets her in and she sits down, and the secretary just keeps staring at her, like there's definitely
yeah,
something wrong with her.
and I feel like probably there was a little bit more than just her looks. Like, you're 2 clocks here, but
Well,
that's not exactly.
she says weird things like she's and this is like another random thing that I know Zach Cregger, I read that he talked about in an interview
Mhm.
that he told Amy Madigan that like his two ideas for what the character are is that she's like an ancient witch that, is doing this and, is using magic, or that she's not even an actual human, like she's some sort of like monster that just uses a human disguise. And he like told Amy Madigan that and was like, "You play it however you think. Like I'm never gonna make it clear." But it is hard to tell when you hear because it's not just the looks. She says weird things like when she says Alex's parents has got a touch of the consumption, and Benedict Wong's
Mhm.
like, consumption? I Isn't that something they got on the Oregon Trail? Like, are you talking about tuberculosis? And like she just
She's like,
doesn't.
yeah,
Yeah, she's like she's playing it as a character that like doesn't interact with humans, so she doesn't even understand what a current like medical diagnosis would be to tell somebody that they have. Like in modern
right.
times, you'd be like, "Oh yeah, they got COVID, or they just got a real bad flu or pneumonia." But she's like consumption, which makes you think, was she around in like the 1800s? That's what she's like remembering.
I also really like in Marcus's story when he's at home and he's about to have lunch with his boyfriend or husband, and they're watching this like National Geographic thing on ants that have the cordyceps that like
All about
control your
parasites,
mind.
which gets
And
brought up multiple times in the movie. Parasites are like everywhere in the background.
but but the thing that I kind of picked up on the second time was the fact that they're ants, and they keep talking about ants, and then there's a knock on the door, the doorbell rings, and it's Alex's aunt. Yeah, I thought that was like a very like that was very intentional thing that they did. And the first time I was more focused on the cordyceps. And like you said, I feel like every time that there's something going on that feels like it would be like filler, like the classroom, like they're talking about parasites, like you said, they're very much trying to make us think that it's a very like certain thing. I don't know. I never really felt that the kids contracted something. I felt that they were like probably under a spell. I do like very
I
early
mean, she's
on
the
where like
parasite
she is,
because
and when they
she's trying to steal their essence, I guess, or like steal their vitality seemingly. Because I think that's what she wants to do with Alex's parents, and then she says like it doesn't work, which is probably because they're too old or there's not enough of them, so that's why she needs all the kids.
or she's not as good at it, or yeah, like she's having a harder time than she's ever had before. So I do kind of like that stranger mentality, but I also do like when you get to Alex's story, which is he's the last protagonist, and he's in the car with his dad, and like, I don't know about this aunt thing. And he's like, it really sets up the fact that neither of them know this aunt very well. Like, because he's like, I'm not even sure your mother knows her that well. So, like, very much she weaseled her way into this family somehow and probably isn't related to them unless it proves anything that, when you see how she possesses people with her weird tree branch and cutting herself and stuff. I think the only other person that kind of recreates what she does is Alex. So I don't know if anybody can do that or like they do share some sort of bloodline. But I do like how like you get enough information with like you get the branch and like Benedict Wong's like, are those my ribbons? Because they do have a weird shot of his ribbons that she's like looking at and obviously steals them, but she wraps them up around that twig. I don't know. I think from the moment she shows up fully, because she does appear to almost all the characters before that, and she's always like creepy as hell. Like she's just like she's on Julia Garner's ceiling. She replaces an archer, Josh
Brolin's
Brolin's
son.
son for like a second. I don't know if the cop sees
I don't think
her.
the cop sees her, and the junkie sees her out in the woods
Like in
where
the
his
woods
tent is.
waving. Yeah,
Which
she's so
yeah,
creepy.
the I think those are like the two. I don't even want to say like the smallest segments, but they're the ones that are I guess like the most disconnected from the main plot.
Hmm.
The Alden Ehrenreich is the cop and the junkie, but those both those segments are very funny in like how those two characters interact. From him, picking up that guy for breaking and entering, and he's like, you don't have anything that's gonna poke me, right? No. There's nothing in your pocket that's gonna poke me, right? I'm gonna be really mad if there's something in there that pokes me. There's nothing in my pocket. Like immediately, it's just like it hits him, and when he just the shot when he just punches him in the face and knocks him out on his car is like such a hilarious overreaction for just immediately. Then realizes his dash cam's been recording the entire thing.
Yeah, he's very reactionary. And the other thing is like, I really like that actor. I think he's really like charismatic. And in this, he's very charismatic, but he still is like kind of a piece of shit. Like he definitely lies about his relationship with, I don't, I guess it's his wife or girlfriend. It has to be a girlfriend. But he lies and he says, "Oh, it's over.
Which is the
Nothing's
police
happening
chief's
there."
daughter. So I think it's like he only stays with her because it's like it'd be too awkward or something if he dumped her and then has to keep working with the chief or something like that.
Right. And then he's, obviously he gets pricked and he takes it upon himself to like beat the shit out of him. I mean, it's one punch, but then it's like he's not making the right choices at all because once he realizes what he's done, he unplugs the camera. I mean, at least he goes and he tells his future potential father-in-law what happened. But I do love that shot because I really like Toby Huss. He plays the chief of police. I really like him. I think he's a really good actor, and he's not in a lot of. He never plays very big roles, and I do like when Paul goes home, and then the purse is sitting there, and he's like, "Shit," and then his wife, her girlfriend's like, figures it out. But then when he goes back to work, and he's like walking past the window, he just has that stare, like that he knows, and it's like it's fucking over. So like it adds to the aggravation for when
Yeah.
the
He goes
junkie.
outside and sees the junkie walking towards the police station after he
Yeah.
was like the chief's like, well, as long as and the way he phrases it, as long as that citizen doesn't come in and file a complaint,
Yeah.
I think we'll be fine. But then yeah, going to the junkie story of
He definitely has the
he
funniest
needs
story out of everybody.
money to pay for more drugs, and eventually breaks into Alex's house, which and he's like the worst burglar because he makes so much noise. Like it's not like remotely being quiet at all.
Which he does feel like the typical drug addict that's just kind of stealing to keep the habit going, where like he's talking to his family member, maybe a brother or sister or something, but he's like checking doors to find any car door that's like open while he's doing it. And he's not like entirely stupid. Like he sees that the Lily's house has like all the newspapers there in the front yard. So he's like, nobody's been home for a
And when
while.
he goes up, there's newspaper on the windows. It's like, yeah, this doesn't look like anyone lives here.
No, and he sees, and it's really funny because he's the one making like the main discovery, and he's so oblivious to like all kind of things. Like the one room has like all that junk piled up. No, he doesn't question it. The door's locked with the light behind it, which is essentially the witch's room. No, can't go there. he's he doesn't really like think too much about why there's soup cans all over the place.
Yeah, the place is a mess.
But yeah, he finds
Goes
the
downstairs
parents.
and sees all the kids.
Yeah, he accidentally like finds the kids, and I do like when they all like look at him and then he's just like, sorry, I'm leaving, like as if there's a good explanation for why all those kids are there. But then he makes it back to the pawn shop, and he sees that flyer for like the reward money for the kids, and then it cuts to him calling the police, and he's like, so yeah, I think I might know where those kids are at. Yeah, they're just in like a basement standing around. I don't know if they're all there. There's a lot of them.
There was at least a few of them. I saw their faces. Yeah, I
Yeah.
thought for sure. I thought for sure that segment was just going to be, turned out completely different. But I did think he was just going to get in his tent, and that Alden Ehrenreich was just going to shoot him with a shotgun and just like kill him and never discover that he knew the kids were there. But it's somebody stabs him in the face with more needles. He's like, "What the hell? You stabbed me again."
Yeah, and he does have that moment where he's just like, just tell me that you do you have AIDS? I don't
Not that I
think
know
so.
of.
Like hepatitis or anything. Yeah. Yeah, he does. He convinces them he knows where the kids are. He goes to the house. He goes in. I love every time anyone goes to the house, the door just like magically swings open.
With no one there.
Yeah, you never see anybody there at the door. You do have that weird moment when Julia Garner's like outside, kind of like watching the house, and the mother comes out through the door with a pair of scissors, and you're like, is she gonna kill her? Because like at this point, you don't understand what the hell she's doing. But yeah, she crawls in the back of the car. It's real creepy. Cuts her hair, and cut to morning. She's okay. But yeah, I mean, they do start piecing stuff together. I like Josh Brolin's character that is like kind of doing the triangulation.
That she meets up with, what's his name? Justin Long. Is that going to be
Justin Long.
Is that going to be Zach Cregger's guy from now on? Always going to put Justin Long in every movie, no matter what.
Maybe, but I did see like, hey, Justin Long's in a horror movie that he doesn't die in. like that's the first. But yeah, I do like he shows up at that house of like one of the other parents' kid who went missing, and he like talks to the wife, but the wife like doesn't want to help him at all. So he waits for the husband to come home, and you could just see how jacked the wife is when they're like looking at their Ring camera, trying to figure out which way they went. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I think it's weird that he's the first person to like come up with the idea of like, hey, the kid was headed this way. He sees that radio tower, so I think he's thinking of like the circumference of like, a cell tower, and how much range it has. Not necessarily that the kids were controlled by it, but like something like was pulling them in a certain direction. So yeah, I love how that all comes together. And I do have to say, the kid that plays Alex, congratulations for not being an annoying child. He almost has like the scariest role too, when he has to go home and his parents are like zombies basically, or like in a trance. And like there's that creepy shot.
He has to turn into Kevin from Home Alone. He has to shop for himself, get some soup, take care of everybody.
He's not very good at feeding soup to people.
I do love when when it starts out where he can't figure out how a can opener works, and like the next thing it's like, you need to go get more soup, and you see him in the store, and he's like making sure to get the ones with the pull tab on top, because he can't figure out how to use the can opener.
Yeah, that's a great little detail. Or I like the shot where he comes down the stairs and his parents are still there, and he walks a little bit further, and then Aunt Gladys is there, and it's like, shit, she's still here. But yeah, it is like the stranger danger thing. Like, if you just tell anybody about me, I'm gonna hurt everybody. I'm gonna hurt your parents. I can, she shows him that she has control. She makes them stab themselves with a fork. So like, I can absolutely make them kill themselves. So.
And then she can. I do like, she's even controls the kids, like they're hiding in the basement. But then it's like the cops are going to come over because they're going to want to look at the house. So she like commands them all, and they probably just like go to the woods or something for the night or something. They'll just run out.
Yeah, and nobody catches them. And I mean, like, the only thing you really see is like everybody has like a very similar run, where they like have their arms like spread out like wings.
They're running
So
like Naruto.
Yeah, you see the cop. Well, you see the kids all do that, and then like the next time you really see it is when Benedict Wong's like running towards them at the gas station, and they're like, "What the fuck is like? What is happening right now?" Then it's such like an abrupt attack on the was it Julia Garner's character. But yeah, Josh Brolin's even like taken back by it, like, what in the fuck is happening with this guy, and trying to attack him and save her. But I do love when she runs into the gas station / liquor store or whatever, and the guy's like he's just full on chasing her through the store, and the clerk's just like, get out of here. She's like, I'm being attacked. Yeah, this isn't my choice.
When they that's what we've seen when Gladys's magic is controlling them. That's what they say. They're like, they're weaponized. They'll just attack no matter what until you kill them, which I do love. That's maybe one of the most comedic scenes that I really enjoy is when Julia Garner and Josh Brolin finally get into the house at the end of the movie, and because they follow in the cop, and once they go in and they see, and I could see the junkie like standing way in the corner where you couldn't notice him at first. I saw him standing back there, but once they like cross the salt barrier that like activates them, and when he starts fighting that junkie, and every time he like punches them, and he's like I'm done, and then the junkie just gets up again. He just keeps punching him nonstop, and he just like won't stop attacking him every time he thinks he's like, I think I finally got that guy.
He apparently did his own stunts for that too. That Austin Abram.
It's so ridiculous. It's so funny. And he's like flipping him over the table, like throwing him through desks and tables, just flipping him all over the place.
He's a weapon, but he's out of his like weight class, so like it's more annoying to Josh Brolin than anything else.
He just can't get him to stop.
But yeah, I mean, when we get to the scene in Benedict Wong's kitchen, where like Gladys is like, I would like a glass of water. Actually, I'd like it in a bowl. I drank it out of a bowl. She's like a very terrible liar, but they're like, okay, we'll give it to you in a bowl. And so what you realize is like the way that it works is they wrap something personal around the branch of that tree that she has, that little tree, cuts herself, snaps the branch, and whatever she has wrapped around there, like she currently has the boyfriend's hair, which makes sense as to like, she also has Julia Garner's hair too. So that's why we saw Benedict running after her, and at the end of her story, or maybe it was Brolin's story, that you see that. But she can stop it for whenever she like drops it in water, or like it's cleansed, like maybe cleanses the blood off of it or something like that. So like you get the bare minimum of like how it works. So like even when you get Paul Morgan going into the house and the junkie is just like handcuffed in the back of the cop car, and he clearly comes out like way late at night, but he's like, it's very much the weapons thing where like he's like dead set on like grabbing the guy. I guess she has to have some other kind of commands because it's not just straight up killing people. I guess we'll never know the little tiny technical things of it. But yeah, she drags him towards the house, and that's where they cut it. And then, yeah, when we do revisit it and they do go back in the house and they all have to face like, because they stepped on the salt barrier or whatever, they're all getting attacked by everybody. And it's like, yeah, Brolin has like almost virtually nobody attacking him. Garner's like getting her ass kicked by Paul, and the little kid's getting chased by his parents, and that's where you get like the Shining references and stuff like that. But then it becomes actually like it's very, very serious where like these people are getting murdered. They kill these possessed people, so they kill Paul Morgan, they kill the junkie. But then, yeah, the kid basically gets the upper hand on the witch and does the magic because he's seen her do the magic. And she's like, fuck. And she knows she fucked up. And I think the ending of this movie's hilarious where like the kids just start fucking chasing her, like just
Just
busting
like
through
busting through the
windows and stuff.
windows and running through everyone's house through like 4 or 5 houses down the street.
Yeah, and it's just funny, like when you get the perspective of like just a passerby or that has no idea what's going on, like the guy cutting his grass and she's like running,
See
screaming, and all the
17
kids
kids
are
running behind her.
yeah, it's so fucking funny, and like
That's
yeah,
great,
they're
but
like
then
so
I love
horrified.
Josh Brolin going through afterwards, and like
Oh
he goes
yeah,
through
yeah,
that
yeah.
one person's house, and they're like, oh my god, what happened? And then he just walks through and like, oh god, there's another man walking through the house.
Yeah, fuck, there's another guy here, like yeah, like talking off to her husband or whatever it was. I also like too that Josh Brolin's characters, like he says in his dream that he has that he's like, I guess he never tells his son that he loves him, so like that's eating him up more than anything. But I also do like when
Which then we
you,
find out that his son's like a bully, and it's like well, he's probably a bully because his dad doesn't tell him he loves him.
yeah, his son's like a complete asshole too to Alex, like bullying him down the hallway and stuff like that, which is really funny because when it starts, you kind of think like you don't know exactly how Alex is going to be involved in this, but like he doesn't suggest, you know, like he doesn't like give up his classmates. He's kind of threatened to do it. Yeah, I guess we do. We find out 100% what happens, and you know they even from that little girl's narration, which I don't know if it makes 100% sense because in the beginning, the little girl who's narrating is like, and they never found them again. And then when she's narrating again at the end, she's like, all right, here's what really happened. Like
Yeah,
it's like Alex's parents never were able to bounce back from it. The kids were apparently able to start speaking. Like some of the kids started speaking after like a year. So it sounds like the kids will be able to come back from it.
yeah.
Um,
It
I
seems
don't know
like
if there's any bit.
the longer people are under the control, maybe is like the worse it is. Because like Josh Brolin's only under her control for like a few minutes, and then he seems to be fine. But it's like yeah, I guess for the parents when it's been going on for like a month, it's
Yeah.
just like too much for them.
That and being younger too, maybe like she really drained the parents because I mean, I don't know. She never necessarily looks like super young. They really go out of their way to make her look old and decrepit and kind of like the stereotypical like witch. I do like how yeah, that the Lilies don't like her, like they don't like her. They're just sort of like we have to do this. It's what family does. And like everything about her is like creepy and I don't know.
The dad seems to be like I don't know. It looks like she'll probably be dead within a month. Like I don't think she's really going to be with us that long.
Yeah, I think in a month, yeah, we'll be good and it'll all be clear. And yeah, it's like the next day dad doesn't show up and the kid goes home and you know. But yeah, I would say a lot of the characters are absolutely doing things that they shouldn't be doing for the most part. Like even the teacher's really funny where they're like, "Don't follow that kid." And then she's like immediately following the kid like you can't be you got to stay away from these kids. You got to quit investigating these kids. And like yeah, even the voice of reason seems to be Marcus more than anybody. And she's like, "I want to know what happens." And he's like, "Yeah, it's like you're thinking about yourself. You got to think about these other people too. You know, I know you want to work, but it's like it's not safe for you. It's not something that should be happening right now." But yeah, I mean, like every little thing ties together. I did like, I don't know if you thought about it too, but when they reveal that, you know, she gets witch painted on the side of her car, which has to be the like funniest, most direct, blatant foreshadowing ever in a movie. But you know, you never really think it's going to be right on the nose. But I also felt like witch was like made me think like a child or something did it. But when you find out that Josh Brolin did it because they got the wrong colored paint because he's a scatterbrain since his kid went missing. I do like it seems like they got that paint for the door and he's got 2 gallons of paint. I'm like, that's a fucking lot of paint to paint just the front door of your house. I'm sure you could have easily done a single can of paint. Could have got 2 or 3 coats on that thing and it'll look nice. But yeah, I don't know if I was thinking like Lowe's. I was thinking of that, or I'm like, the fuck, I would never recommend that much paint for somebody, and this guy's a contractor. I feel like it uses its time very well. It's not a long movie. I think it's just barely over the 2-hour mark. I felt like it was longer the first time I watched it. But maybe I'm thinking because I saw it in theaters with trailers and shit like that. That was where I was like, I thought it was like a 2.5-hour movie, but nope, it's digestible. HBO Max or physical media, maybe buy it in case Warner Brothers gets bought up. I don't know. It's got a lot of fun references and stuff. If you didn't watch the movie, we're really ruining it for you. We're really ruining the fun of it. But I think so far this year, it's one of my favorites. I would say I do like One Battle After Another more than this. But those are probably my two contenders for best movie as of now for 2025.
Yeah.
So maybe you have to watch that. I mean, you seem to have enjoyed it.
I did. I liked both of his movies so far. I watched Barbarian not that long ago, a few months back, and this was great. And I guess I am interested to see he's supposed to be, rebooting a Resident
Not
Evil.
supposed to is.
Yeah. So let's see how that turns out.
He-
Hopefully,
Austin Abrams is with him. He's in that. And he also made a note that, like, he said something weird. Like, he said he's never watched the
Paul Anderson ones.
Paul W.S. Anderson ones. He's like, I'm just
probably
going to make
for the better.
I'm going to make the movie I want to make. So, like, it's not going to have anything to do with those. Which is really funny, too, because they tried to reboot Resident Evil once already. With,
I feel like they've even tried to do it
Raccoon.
twice. They did, because they had a separate movie and that show on Netflix. They tried to do it twice, I think.
Oh,
at
yeah,
this
I
point.
guess if you do consider the show.
Yeah, they've
I think
done
they even took that movie away from. Weren't they going to use George A. Romero for some reason? And then we're like, no, he's not making the movie we want him to make. Way to can George Romero.
Because it feels like I don't know. There's it falls in. I think they've gotten better with adapting video games into films more recently. Obviously, with stuff like The Last of Us, they're not flat out terrible like they used to be. And it feels like, yeah, the Resident Evil video games, they have this huge universe that has a lot of cool stuff that you could use. And I don't think all of Paul Anderson's movies, I at least think the first two were probably the ones that were stuck kind of closest to the original movie in terms of going into some big mansion and, finding zombies in there. Those were decent. And then I think it just went off the rails after that one because, I don't know, just started to feel like he was just doing whatever he wanted and calling it a Resident Evil movie. It was it's got zombies. It's but is it a Resident Evil movie? It is because I put the title in it. So,
I mean, I guess it had enough references, but that was the problem. It was just a bunch of references, and I think maybe 2 or 3 years ago, I watched all of the Resident Evils. For some reason, I stopped at 3. Surprise, surprise. Yeah, I stopped at 3, so I was like, I guess I'll watch all of them. And yeah, they're pretty much mindless trash for the most part. I mean, I could see people enjoying them, but there's really nothing that great about any of them. So I'm interested to see what the hell this ends up being. I mean, I see that it's Raccoon City again, and I didn't hate that last movie, but it also didn't really stand out. So that was clearly an issue. I don't know. And then, like you said, too, when you're talking about the lore for Resident Evil, when they did 7, 8, and 9 coming out, they're doing such drastically different things for each new game that comes out that the story can go any fucking way that they want it to go in the movie world if they wanted. But do you think that, I know you're okay with that, but would you rather see him do something more original?
I mean, I would rather see him do something more original, but I also want a good Resident Evil movie. So if somebody's going to direct it,
8th Resident Evil,
if somebody's going to direct it, it might as well be him. As long as it's, I don't know. I always the biggest thing that always is always a problem is, and it feels like it's the same with the Marvel movies. You get these directors that direct really good independent movies, but then as soon as they start to have to answer to the corporations like Capcom and whoever, their parent companies. And then it's like, as soon as you want to make a decision, it's like, well, we can't do that because it has to do this. We can't have you put that in our movie. So as soon as it starts to become, almost again, why'd you hire a guy that has really great original ideas if you're just gonna pretty much tell him, nah, but you have to just make our movie the way we want it.
And how did it come up? Like, did he had to like found them, sought them out, and then said, this is what I want to do, and they like the idea, as opposed to something like, we're getting a Legend of Zelda movie in 2 years, or like a year and a half's time, I guess. And that director, Wes Ball, had to like fight for it. So it's like he came forward with the plan, the treatment that they liked the best. And then that's another prime example of like, are they going to be able to pull it off? Because like, I know they recently released some photos and stuff, and it is funny because it does just look like cosplay. Like, I mean, I know it's like day one of shooting and it leaked, so they're just like, fuck it. Here's what they look like. Big reveal. Even though it's still a year away, and we don't have any visual effects or fucking anything in the movie right now. But it is a medium that, like, I feel like sometimes maybe live action's not the way to go. Maybe it should have been like an anime or something like that. But yeah, the video games, Last of Us has like a really good dramatic story. So like, yeah, I feel like it's easier to adapt. Resident Evil might be a little bit harder, but I mean, you could tweak it and fix it. Like I said, 7 seemed to be like more of like a personal journey with this character than like just, I mean, I don't want to make fun of the first Resident Evil game, but like the first Resident Evil game, it does not take itself very seriously.
Hey, maybe that's what he's going for. He's going to put the comedy in there. It's not going to take it too seriously.
It's going to have the weird shit in. Yeah, it should have the weird shit in it. Just like they should be going around the mansion and they're like having to do puzzles and they're like, why are we doing so many puzzles around here? Like, I don't. What's that line? There's a really terrible line from Resident Evil, which is funny as hell. It's just like a really bad line reading. And it's like, watch that make it into his version of this. But yeah, when I saw Barbarian, I didn't know White as Kids You Know that he had anything to do with that. And I was just sucked in on the premise with Bill Skarsgård, where it's like he's at this Airbnb that this girl's supposed to have an Airbnb to. And it's sort of like, it has that like that really good creepiness of, is he just saying this shit? Like, is he there to like stalk this person, or did like he actually end up there like she did? And that one has like fun kind of like different segments of the story. And obviously I think the most fun is Justin Long when they cut to him and he inherited this house, and it's like the square footage is like the fucking funniest thing. Like when he finds the secret room, the normal character, like the normal reaction would be like, oh, what is this? And he's like, hell yeah, more square footage.
Yeah. Literally so Googling, can you add the basement square footage to the house square footage if it's unfinished?
Yeah, it's great. It's one of the best parts. And I'd say almost every part of that movie is good or interesting in some sort of way, even when it gets fucking weird. But yeah, I loved Weapons, so check it out while you still can. And yeah, all the performances, I'm interested to see where he goes next, the director. I'm interested to see, you brought him up earlier, I'm interested to see where Jordan Peele's going next. Mm-hmm. What the hell is he doing? I thought he was going to do that him movie, and then he wasn't. He's just producing stuff. He's not. And I heard something like the People Under the Stairs, but I feel like he said something where he's very adamant about he's fine with producing the remakes, but he doesn't want to direct a remake. Like he wants to do his own ideas for everything. And I just need more because I really liked Nope. I need that to be like, I need to see where he goes from here. And again, yeah, they're very much in the same vein when you put it that way, where these are like people known for their comedy roots and they're actually making very, very good horror movies. And again, I saw in the thank you section for this movie, they thanked Bill Hader. So like Bill Hader, I don't know what the hell he's doing, but I know that they said after he finished Barry, he had like 3 horror ideas that he wanted to write and direct. So I think the next time we really see Bill Hader, I mean, even if we don't see him on screen, like he's going to be following this exact same route of the horror movies. And he was in your favorite movie that we discussed this year, Beau is Afraid. You said he was
the best part of that movie.
He's a standout role. But yeah, we'll be back in 2 weeks with whatever the hell Chuck picks. We don't have to do the connectivity thing. You don't want to. We can be done with it. Even though I did connect this one. I did my homework to connect this one and talk about it. But hey, maybe Free for All Forever will be the right choice. We'll see. Stay tuned. And thanks for listening.
We're Cinema D'Amore. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter to stay up to date with news and information on upcoming episodes. Find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Podbean, Spotify, Amazon Music, Audible, Pandora, Alexa, or iHeartRadio. It would be greatly appreciated if you subscribe to our podcast on your platform of choice. We also appreciate feedback, so rate us, review us, and let us know what you think. And above all else, thank you for listening.